Welcome. We're excited for you guys to be here today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited to go over New Weave and all of the great features that come along with it. Today, we do have a few items to make note of. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent to your email by Monday morning. So if you guys registered, all of these live sessions will be emailed out to you guys by Monday. Also, if you guys have any questions, please answer them in the Q&A section over on the right-hand side. Looks like some of you guys are already getting familiar with the chat, but if you have a question that you want answered by us or the support reps that we have here, make sure you ask them in that Q&A section there. That will just help us get to those questions a little bit quicker. My name is Jen Prescard, and I am a customer training specialist here at Weave. And Miss Adria here, she is our product training specialist, and she is going to be giving the overview today. Our overview is going to be on auto messaging. We're going to go over what each of the messages are, how to edit and create auto messaging, and our recommendations for your auto messaging. Afterward, if time pertains, we will go over our training resources and have a moment for a Q&A. And at the very end, we will launch a survey. We love to get your guys' feedback to know what you loved about our session, what you would like to see us improve on. So if you could please take the time to do that survey, it's really helpful to us. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Adria now so she can start presenting. And in that chat bar, I'm going to send you guys our Weave training resources. So we have Weave Help and Weave Training Camp. So if we don't get through everything today or you have more questions, those are going to be two really great resources for you guys moving forward. So I'll add those in the chat for you as well. All right, Adria, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Jen. Oh my gosh, I love seeing where everybody is from. It's so fun. There's people all over the place. I love it. Well, welcome today. We're really excited. So as you guys know, we have a new Weave experience, which is really exciting. With that being said, though, there are some things that you're still going to need to go into the old experience for, and that's going to be auto messaging. So it hasn't changed too much, but there are some things that I do want to talk to you guys about. Let me get my screen shared here. This is the page. Sorry, I have a few too many tabs open. Okay, so this is the Weave portal. If you guys are going, I just want to show you how to get to the new experience and how to access things in the new experience and here in the old experience. So this is the Weave portal, and then just keep in mind all of the information I'm showing is just dummy data, so don't worry if it doesn't match exactly like yours. But this is the new experience. Over on the left-hand side on this menu, there's an option that says switch to app. If I click on switch to app, it takes me to the new experience. Now, some of you have said, I've read a couple of things so far that it still says it's in beta. That's just fine. You might want to download the new, like the app. So this is the web version I'm showing you. And there's also the app version, which at the bottom, you can see I do have an alert in purple down here. It says, hey, you can download the app and you can download it right here. So feel free to click on that. If yours still says that it's in beta, just check for updates and you can update yours. It doesn't mean that you're on a bad version or not a good version. You're on the right version. Just sometimes it does say beta up at the top. So just keep that in mind. Okay, on this version, if you ever need to go back to the portal, you can. So you can see mine says dashboard over here on the left. If I click portal, it takes me right back to the portal, and you can just switch back and forth depending on where you need to be. For this situation, I'm going to show you in the new experience how to get to your auto reminder, all of your auto messaging. Now, I'm going to also preface something with auto messaging. Auto messaging currently is just for those offices that are integrated. If you're not integrated, there are still a couple options that you will have, so we'll go over those, but you might not have all of the options. Another thing I will preface too is we do have options for veterinary offices, so just keep that in mind as well. You might have those, and then there's also some options for any optometry offices as well. You will see some differences there, but we'll go through all of those auto reminders. But just to preface all of that, In the top right corner of your new Weave experience, you can see your initials up in the very top right corner. Mine says AS for Adria Shields. Right next to it, there's a little gear. If I click that gear, you have all of your settings, which Jen went over all of your settings. So if you guys do have questions about that, we'll make sure you get the recording of that. But if you go into messaging on the left-hand side, there's an option for auto messaging, and you can come in here, you can mark the confirmed replies as read, which I do recommend that. I do think it's really nice to have that. Then you have the text visibility. So if you want to be able to see any of the auto messages of the contacts, they're up at the top versus the bottom, and it makes it kind of nice. Then you have your manage auto message, which if I click this, it will take me into the Weave portal, and I'm just sharing one tab with you, so it's not going to show you that tab. But you can see that if you click into auto messaging, what happens is it takes you to this page. So if you go into the portal, if you go under messages, auto messaging, this is the page that it will pull up. So you can get there both ways. So you could do it through the portal or you could do it through the new experience. Once we are in here, I'm going to go through all of them as to what they are, and then I will show you how to create it. The creation is very similar across the board, so just keep that in mind. Okay, we're going to start at the appointment reminder because I do think this is good, and then we'll go up and then we'll go down. But your appointment reminders are text messages that go out just saying like, hey, you have an appointment scheduled on this date and time. If I click the drop down, I can see all of the text messages or any of the auto messages that I have. Keep in mind, you can send them out as both text and email, so you can decide what you prefer. And I'll turn this on so you can see this a little better. So you can see the method here. It says SMS, email. You can see what they are, which makes that nice. My recommendation for your appointment reminders, and I'll just give you my recommendations as we go through them. My recommendation, and Weave also defaults this into yours, is do a 7 days before the appointment, a 3 or 4 day, depending on what your cancellation clauses are, a 3 or 4 day reminder for those that are still just unconfirmed. So if they confirmed on the 7 day, they will not get the 3 day. If they still haven't confirmed, they'll get that 3 day. And I say 3 or 4 days. I do recommend giving a little bit of time just in case you have a cancellation clause of saying like, hey, you owe us, half the amount of your appointment or anything like that if there's a fee there. And then I recommend doing a day before, and I'm just going to turn this on so you can see that. A day before or a 2 hour before, depending on what you want to give your clients or your patients. I recommend doing a 2 day before or a 2 hour before. I think that's just a little bit more helpful because then it's like, oh, hey, just know that you have an appointment coming up. And with that, I'm going to show you. So on the day before, if you can click on the day before, or you can click on the 3 dots all the way over to the right. You can click on edit, and this pulls up the text, like settings as to how you have it set up. Now, I'm going to change this to 2 hours before, because that's what I recommend. It will say a time frame between 6:30 and 10:30. Some people are funny about their text messages going out too early. You can change this. I can say, hey, I actually want this to go out at 7 o'clock. So my 8 o'clock appointment is getting it just an hour before, or your 9 o'clock appointment is getting it at 7, however you want to do that, but it is going to go out at whatever time it is. So in this case, if my first appointment started at 8 o'clock, I can change it to 7 o'clock, or I can say, hey, you know what? I don't mind it going out at 6:30. It just depends on what your preferences are and what your patients or clients would prefer. On here as well, I'll just show you because this is nice. There are different filters you can apply. So you can do, and each of the filters will be different depending on which reminder or your auto message that you're on. So just make sure that you're like reading them because they are different depending on which one you're on. You could do this one by the appointment status. So if I wanted it to be confirmed or unconfirmed, you can do that. Your appointment type, the practitioner, the operatory, the provider location, the patient status, anything like that, you can filter through. Then you can change it as a text or an email. You can send it to all of the related contact numbers, or you can do it to the preferred number. Depending on what your clientele base is, if you have a lot of children, I would send to all of the numbers related. Then it goes to both the parent or guardian as well. Or you could do just the preferred mobile number only. So that'll just go to the number that you have on there. Then you have the compose auto message. There are 4 different texts that you can have on here. So there's the individual, there's the family, there's the individual in Spanish, and the family in Spanish. So the individual will go out just for that one person. If they're set as a family in your practice management system, they will get the family. Well, I recommend that you set up the family so that they just get one text. So on this one, for instance, it says, "Hi, this is Awesome Dental. Just wanted to remind you of Matthew and William have appointments on October 2nd starting at 9." So that way the parent or guardian is getting one text instead of getting 3 different text messages, 4 different text messages, however many people have appointments that day. It's just going to send one, which makes that really nice. Okay. If you wanted to do it in Spanish or so if you have the English ones and you also want to have it in Spanish, keep in mind we do have a default text in here and that will translate into Spanish. But if you change anything in the English text, it does not automatically translate it into the Spanish text. So just keep that in mind because you if you change anything in the English, make sure you change it in the Spanish too, so that no one's getting conflicting information. And if you guys don't have any Spanish speakers in the office, Google Translate is really great to utilize that aspect of it. So then I can just click on Update Auto Message down here at the bottom, and it takes me back. Make sure you do click Save Changes if you've changed anything on there. Okay, but those are your appointment reminders, and you can turn these off. So like, actually, I don't want this one on or this one. I just want the 7 days of the 2 hour or whatever you want it to be. You can come in and turn these on and off. Okay, with that being said, you have your appointment reminders, then you have the appointment confirmation. So if a patient texts you back and says, "Hey, yep, I'll be there," they can respond anything that they want. They can say, "Great, I'll be there. Thanks for the reminder," a thumbs up. They like the text. They give you a heart. Anything positive is going to confirm the appointment, both in Weave and in your practice management system for you. If you have the appointment confirmation text turned on, it's a text that goes out after they say, like, "Yes, I'll be there." It says, "Hey, thanks for confirming your appointment. We'll see you on this day and time." Whatever the text is that you want it to say. I recommend that you just have, I don't know why I have 2 on here. I'm going to delete this one. There's just one that I recommend sending out, and I recommend sending it out. So I'm going to edit this and I'll show you. I recommend sending this out from 12 a.m. to 11:59. So anytime your patient or your client texts you to respond, it's going to just automatically send that. So it's only triggered to go out when they text you. It's not just going to send it out at midnight every night. Just keep that in mind. But this is how I recommend having it set up. And I recommend all days of the week that you have this one set up for, which makes that really nice. And then you have the text, you could change it. This is the default. It says, "Thank you for confirming your appointment for whoever name it is. You're all set. We'll see you soon," which I think is great. And that's the same with Spanish or the family. And then you can also add the individual Spanish and the family Spanish as well. And then just click Update Auto Message. Oh, I have a couple screens and one's covering the other, so sorry. Just update that and it will take you back. But this appointment confirmation I think is really great because it just verifies that they did confirm, because historically it's kind of left them hanging, like, did I actually confirm the appointment or not? This is one that I highly recommend. Okay, sorry, I've dove into those two because I do think they're really important and they're really nice to have, and I recommend everybody have them on. We'll fly through a couple of these other ones. You have the appointment follow-up. So if there's ever a text that you want to send out after an appointment, if someone came in and had a procedure done that they need to follow a certain protocol afterwards, if they need to be taking a certain medication afterwards for, if they need to take this, every 2 hours for the next couple days or 4 hours, whatever it is. It's really nice to do these. We have follow-ups historically, but now we have them going out automatically. So the follow-ups prior have been more manual. This one's going to go out more automatically for you. So I recommend that this is more run of the mill, that it's not just like a one-off, that this is something that you want it to go out for. And this one you can also filter by the appointment type specifically so that it goes out to those specific appointments. Then you have a birthday message, and I'll click the drop down. You should have them defaulted in here. There's a birthday and a text. You can do one or the other if you prefer. It's totally up to you guys. If you want to even turn these on, it's just wishing your patients or clients a happy birthday. Then you have the missed call. This one everybody should have. It doesn't matter if you are integrated or not, you should have the missed call on here. If you do not have the missed call on there, there is a package that you can, depending on what your package is, you can upgrade to have the missed call text go out. This is really great. So if you ever have somebody that calls your office, a text will go out saying like, "Hey, sorry I missed your call, but feel free to text us." There are a couple new settings on here that I'm going to show you on the edit option. So you have the call type. So if I wanted to edit this list, you have the abandoned call, a missed call with no voicemail, and then you also have a missed with voicemail. So if you want it to just go out to those that did not leave you a voicemail, you can just apply that filter so it goes out to just those that didn't leave you a voicemail, or whatever the case is. You can really play around with these, which makes it really nice. Again, just make sure you save. I'm not saving any of these too much, but just make sure you save as you go. Okay, you have the reactivation and the recall reminders. Some people are getting confused with this, so I do want to make it clear what the differences are. Your recall reminder is going off of the due date that you have in your practice management system. This is more of like those routine cleanings, an eye exam, a yearly eye exam, any yearly appointment, things like that that they would come in for. That's what the recall reminder is for. The reactivation is if they have a the word just totally spaced my mind. If they have a list of appointments that they need to come in for, if it's like what is the word? Darn it, I totally forgot what the word is. But if they have a treatment plan, that's what it is. Sorry. If they have a treatment plan and they don't have appointments scheduled on that treatment plan, then a text will go out just saying like, hey, you still have work that needs to be completed. So I do think both of them are really great options. I recommend that you turn both of these on because it does a lot of the marketing for you and it's working in the background. And that way you are still getting people calling to the office or texting, say, hey, I need to schedule my appointment. So that way you're generating that revenue without having to really lift too much of a finger on it. I will say that getting your auto messages set up is the tedious part, that you need to go in and make sure it says the right thing, that it is set up the way that you want it. It is going to take a little bit more time to get it set up exactly how you want them. But once you have that set up, it's smooth sailing from there. So it just runs on its own and it's really nice. With your recall reminders, it defaults on here and someone changed these, so I apologize. It defaults 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after their due date, depending on what type of office you are. If you're a dental office, I recommend adding a 12-month and an 18-month reminder on here as well, because that 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after is that 6-month mark. So then just reaching them out to them every 6 months to make sure they're scheduling their appointments. If you are an office that sees your patients yearly, so those vet offices, optometry offices, anybody that's seeing your yearly patients, I recommend doing an 18 and a 24-month. So on top of that 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, because that 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after is the year mark. So then just reaching out to them 6 months again, and then 6 months after that. So that way they're just doing that. So those are my recommendations for those recall reminders. You have the reschedule option, which I don't have one in here, so I apologize, but you can create that one by just clicking a plus button. The reschedule is if someone cancels their appointment, a text will go out saying, hey, sorry, we missed your appointment, but can we get you scheduled? Get you put back on the books. This is a great option because you don't want people to fall through the cracks. A lot of these auto messages are going to help you with that, so your patients aren't falling through the cracks. But that reschedule just reiterates like, hey, we want you to get back in for an appointment. Then you have the review request. So this is a great option if you want to send out a text after the appointment to say, hey, thanks for visiting our office. Please leave us a review. This just goes out on its own if your front desk doesn't want to worry about, making sure they send a review request to everybody or anything like that. It's nice to send it out on its own, which is really great. Okay, then the last thing on here is going to be save the date reminder. This is fabulous. I highly, highly, highly recommend you turn this on. This is going to be a text that goes out as soon as you've created an appointment in your practice management system that says, hey, Zoe, you have an appointment scheduled on December 6th at 9 o'clock or whatever their appointment is. But it's really great. It sends that out to them. It hyperlinks the day and time so that way they can add it to their calendar on their cell phone, or they can just get the text to remind them when they get their appointment reminder text. But it's really great. You can send that out. I really recommend having that set up. Okay, I flew through all of those as to what they are. If you wanted to, up at the top, if you ever need to, you're like, I don't want to click the drop down through all of them, but I know there's a text I need to edit or anything like that, you can use the search bar, and you can use the search bar to search for that specific message. There's also a filter icon. So if you wanted to filter this, you can go off of the status. So if you want to see all the ones that are turned off or all the ones that are turned on, you can filter that. If you have multiple locations, you can go by location. And then you also have the delivery method, which is going to be an email or a text. So if you want to see which ones are going out as text messages versus emails and things like that, makes that nice. Okay, on any of these messages, you can click the plus button and you can create a message that way. If you feel like it would be a lot easier for you, you can click on new auto message up in the top right corner here. Make sure you add a name. This is the one thing that I always forget to do. And every time I get to the bottom, I'm like, why won't it let me save? Because I don't have a name. So these names are really great. You can make these really whatever you want. So if you're doing like an odd recall reminder, I would recommend saying like, hey, I want this to be 18 months so I know what it is. Or if you want it to be just the confirmation text, just write confirmation. Whatever it is that you want it to be, you can add it there. Then you would click the select one, and then these are all of the auto messages that you have available for you. The two other ones that I did not touch on that some of you will have is the order ready. And I think it's just order ready is what it is. But there's order ready for those opto offices for when their glasses or contacts are ready. You can send a text out just saying like, hey, come in and do that. So that is one thing I forgot to say. I'm sorry, I don't have it on mine, but that is another one that some of you will see. But I can come in here and say, hey, I actually want this to be, we'll say a save the date reminder. So then all the save the date information pulls up. If you want to change it, you can. I want this to be an appointment confirmation, whatever it is. You're like, oh, I clicked the wrong thing. We can do that. But we're going to save the date just so you can see what this looks like. Then you have the send time. The save the date reminder is very similar to the appointment confirmation where it's only going to go out when something has happened. So if you created that appointment at 11 o'clock, it's got to go out at 11 o'clock. So if you want to leave these time frames, that should be just fine because it's only going to go out when you guys are in the office. I do recommend that you have them just checked Sunday through Saturday, but if you're not in the office on say on a Saturday, you could say, hey, we're going to uncheck it on Saturday so we don't even have to worry about that. You can do that as well. Then you have the filter options. So like I showed you before, on the appointment reminders, there's different statuses. So you can do by the appointment status, the appointment type, the practitioner, operatory, provider location. You can play around with those. Yours might be just slightly different, but just click on them. It's really nice that you can filter them out. Keep in mind one thing that I will say with the appointment types, these are all pulled from your practice management system. So if there's something that you don't see on here, you can go into your practice management system and add it. If you want to edit things, Weave makes it it's interesting. You can see exactly what's going on in your practice management system in Weave, where you're like, I actually didn't realize that that's what it was called, or I didn't realize we had so many appointment types or anything like that. If there's any cleanup or anything like that, you can't do anything of that in Weave. You have to go into your practice management system. So just keep that in mind. If you do see any discrepancies in Weave, and this is Weave as a whole, you will be able to edit those in your practice management system, and Weave will pick those up. So just keep that in mind. But you can play around with those filters. Then you can say if you want it to be a text or an email. I'm going to show you an email option on here so you can see what that looks like. Then you have your compose message. There's the individual and the individual Spanish. So there's not going to be a family email that goes out for this one specifically. But you can see the subject line. There's a headline if you want it, the body of the text, the footer of the message if you want to have anything, and then you can always add forms. There are going to be these little variables down here. These variables you can add into the text. You can see it says hello first name. Excuse me, that first name is going to automatically fill in for that specific patient. So it's going to say, hello, Adria, this is Smile Perfect. Or whatever your name is. I'm just giving you an example. Like, we look forward to seeing you on this day and time. So this fills in for the specific patient if you want to make it more personalized. I highly recommend that you add in the first name. Some offices, depending on how you have things set up in your office, you can use the preferred name. So if there's someone that's name is Susan, but she goes by Sue, you can do the preferred name. So it says, hello, Sue, instead of saying Susan. If you prefer to do it that way, if you have it more set up in your practice management system, that way you can do the two there. But this is really great. One other thing that I will show you on here is there's a 15-minute early and a 15-minute early with date. I can change this though. So if I wanted it to be 30 minutes early, 45 minutes, 60 minutes early, depending on how early you want your patients to be. If your patients or clients are notoriously late for appointments, this is a really great option that you could say, please arrive at, 8:45 for your 9 o'clock appointment or something like that. You can do that if you want to. On the email, one thing I will say with this footer, I do think the footer is really great to add your cancellation clause. So if you have a clause that says, hey, if you cancel your appointment, 48 hours before, or you're a no-show, we will charge you $75 or whatever it is that you do. It is nice to add that in the footer here of the email. I also recommend adding it into the text. So that way there is that clear communication across the board, that they have access to that. You can also attach forms. So if you wanted to attach a form, you can always do that as well. Okay, I've done a lot of talking. I've given you guys a lot of information. I'm just going to click on, the wrong button here. Sorry, the button's in the wrong place for me to be able to see this. But these are all of your auto messages. One other thing that I will show you is the reminder settings over here on the left-hand side. This is going to also be in the gear in the top right corner. If you click that on the new experience, you can go in there. But there's the the email, the office email. If you guys are sending out a lot of emails, please put the reply to email on here. And then there's also a mark as read option on this one. You also can see these settings. If you click the gear here, you can see these settings all in here. You can play around with them all this way. But those are all of your auto messages. We do have a few minutes. Jen, are there any questions that come up? And before Jen hops back on, I am going to launch a survey for you guys. So let us know what you guys have to say. We do love to hear what you have to say. So I'll launch that. And then Jen, is there anything that we want to add?
Yeah, so real quickly, I'll address this question I was going to answer, and then we'll kind of look in Q&A. So ask your questions if you have some right now. Will appointment reminders only send to active patients? Correct. The appointment reminders are only going to go out to patients who have appointments on the schedule, right? There's also a setting in your patient setting that you can turn on to include or exclude inactive patients. I actually think that was with the legacy app. In the new Weave, I think that there's just an option to filter active patients or inactive. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. But as far as appointment reminders, yes, they would only go out if someone had an appointment on the schedule. So, it would only be the active patients.
To add to that,
we had a really good question. How do we know what package our office has? So first, I want to let you guys know, if you are on an integrated version of Weave, if your software integrates and you have that feature, you're not on phones only, you have access to auto messaging. Adria, I don't know if you want to share your screen again real quick and show them where the subscription tab is.
So if you are on the old portal here, you can go into subscriptions here on the very left-hand side at the very bottom. There's subscriptions. You can come in here. You can see it says, this is my plan. You can view your plan details and see everything that's on your package that you have, which is really great to see. You can also click on manage subscription. If you're an admin role, you'll be able to do this and you can see what the different bundles are that we have. You can also come in and add on. So if there's anything that you wanted to add on with bulk messaging, call intelligence, practice analytics, anything like that, that you'd be able to see are just some add-ons that are available to you, will show right here. This is also, if you're on the new experience, if you click the gear in the top right corner, it says subscriptions down here at the bottom. Same page pulls up right there. So you can see them in both places.
Awesome. Yeah, that is great. I love that feature. I think it's so helpful. We get that all the time. So someone asked about the pop-up and how do you get it turned on? So I just sent them a link to sync your phones. So you have to sync your phones. And unfortunately, when you sync your phones with your software, they're not going to always stay synced. If your office has a blip in internet outage or anything like that, your phone and software may become disconnected. When your phone and software is disconnected, you will not receive pop-ups for calls. You'll still receive pop-ups for texts and things like that. So do you want to show them real quickly in the new Weave how we can sync our phones essentially to get that pop-up?
Yeah. So if you click on up in the top right corner where it says Weave and it has a little dial pad there, you can come in here. It says no device paired. You can pair new device. It gives you that 5-digit number that you just need to type in that number into the corresponding desktop phone and click dial, and then you're good to go. And you'll start getting those pop-ups. There was a question, and we keep getting this, so I do want to preface with the new experience, and I'll switch to this view so you can see this. There is a web browser page, which is the one I'm on, which is why I'm going back and forth between the portal and the app and the new desktop, I should say, a little bit quicker. There is an actual app. So if you want to download the app, you can do that. When it comes to the mobile app, though, you don't need to worry about any updates. There's a lot of updates that have happened with the mobile app, and it's really great, but there's no like big overhaul with the mobile app. But thank you so much for joining us today. We do have another session right now. So if you guys want to hop on
Yes,
to
we
the
just
next
realized out
session.
the time. So we'll see you
Yes.
guys over
Well,
in the next session.
yes. Thank you guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.